السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. أصدقائي وصديقاتي الملتقى وضيوفنا الكرام، وأهلا وسهلا بكم مع صالون الملتقى الأدبي. بداية أشكر الأخت رنا إدريس على تعاونها الدائم مع صالون الملتقى ومع دار الآداب الذي دائما يتحفنا بأجمل الروايات العربية والعالمية. شكرا رنا على كل ما تقدميه لنا. تحية طيبة ومرحبا بكم في جلسة جديدة وأمسية أدبية ممتعة ننتقل خلالها إلى البرازيل، أرض الجمال وقصص الحب وعاشقي كرة القدم وراقصي السامبا. معنا في هذه الأمسية الكاتبة البرازيلية مارتا باتاليا، والمترجمة الدكتورة صفاء جبران، لمناقشة رواية الحياة الخفية لأردوس جوزماو. فمرحبا بكم وبهن الأصدقاء وضيوفنا الكرام، أهلا وسهلا بكم. احتفظ الأدب اللاتيني بدفء خاص وقدم لنا شخوصا قريبة من القلب ومجتمعات نكاد نحس أننا أحد أفرادها. رواية الحياة الخفية هي نموذج الرواية الدافئة كما يجب أن تكون. كنت أبتسم وأنا أتجول بين السطور، فبعض ملامح أبطال الرواية ومواقفها أراها حولي هنا وهنا. هذا الود الإنساني الكبير بين ثنايا السطور يحمل قضايا مجتمعية مشتركة توحدنا في أحلامنا ومعاناتنا وتفاصيل الحياة الصغيرة التي تستغربنا. لقد أخلصت الكاتبة للنساء فعكست طموحات بطلاتها، إصرارهن وأحلامهن وعزيمتهن رغم التحديات، فلم يتوقفن عن الحلم رغم ضغط المجتمع وتأطيره لدور المرأة، رغم المسؤوليات الكبيرة التي يمضي معظمها دون أن يلحظ الناس تفاصيلها، رغم المهام والأعباء اليومية المثقلة بصراخ الأطفال وروايح البهارات ومجادلة الباعة وأحاديث الجارات. فالحياة كما تقول مارتا باتاليا في الرواية تشبه اللعبة. أحياناً نعتقد أننا نقوم بالأشياء بطريقة صحيحة، ولكن عندما نفطن نكتشف أن عيوننا مغمضة وأننا لن نصيب بأي شكل من الأشكال. فطوبى لحلم لم تكسره الصعاب، وطوبى لابتسامة تحتفظ بها رغم الآلام. صديقاتي وأصدقاء صالون الملتقى الأدبي، أرحب بكم وببطلات وأبطال روايتنا وبضيفتنا لهذه الأمسية الكاتبة البرازيلية مارتا باتاليا، والمترجمة صفاء جبران، وبالأخت الغالية رنا إدريس من دار الآداب، وأتمنى للجميع جلسة نقاش وحوار ممتع في أجواء برازيلية ساحرة. تفضلي نادية.
مساء الخير جميعا. Marta, I will make a small introduction for you in Arabic if you don't mind.
Okay.
انطلاقا من دراما اجتماعية تجسد الأسرة والآلام والعزلة لنساء صمدن بقوة وشجاعة أمام أنانية الرجال، تطرح لنا مارتا باتاليا الحياة الخفية لبطلتنا اليوم التي لطالما آمنت وجاهدت وحققت. فكما قال والت ديزني: كل أحلامنا يمكن أن تتحقق إذا كانت لدينا الشجاعة لمتابعتها. مارتا باتاليا كاتبة وصحفية برازيلية، ولدت في ريسيف وترعرعت في ريو دي جانيرو. درست الإعلام في الجامعة الكاثوليكية في ريو، وتحمل شهادة الماجستير في الأدب البرازيلي من الجامعة نفسها، بالإضافة إلى ماجستير في النشر من جامعة نيويورك بعد نيلها على زمالة أوسكار ديستيل عام 2009. كتبت في العديد من الصحف وأسست دار نشر ديزيديراتا، ثم قامت سوركامب دار نشر الألمانية بترجمة روايتها الحياة الخفية لإيروديس جازماو إلى عدة لغات، والتي نشرت في البرازيل عام 2016 وتعتبر اليوم من أهم الروايات في أمريكا اللاتينية. حولت الرواية عام 2019 إلى فيلم بنفس العنوان ومدته 139 دقيقة. حاز على الجائزة الأولى ضمن مجموعة Un certain regard في مهرجان كان السينمائي 2019. ونشرت الكاتبة رواية ثانية عام 2018 عنوانها لن يكن هناك قلعة أبدا. There has never been a castle. تعيش الكاتبة اليوم مع زوجها وأطفالها في سانتا مونيكا في كاليفورنيا. اسم السيدة أسماء صديق المطوع، مؤسسة ورئيسة صالون الملتقى الأدبي. يشرفني أن أرحب بالكاتبة السيدة مارتا باتاليا، فلتتفضل مشكورة لتحدثنا عن عالم ريو الساطع بالألوان وبضجيج السامبا، وعن معاناة المرأة في مجتمع يريد تحجيمها وقمع طموحها. والشكر موصول للأخت السيدة رنا إدريس التي بفضلها سنحت لنا اليوم فرصة استثنائية لنتعرف على نسخة حية برازيلية وعربية من الرواية. دكتورة صفاء، تعريف قصير عنك. الترجمة هي ما يحول كل شيء لكي لا يتغير شيء. مع هذه المقولة للأديب الألماني غونتر جراس نرحب بالدكتورة صفاء أبو شهلة جبران، الأستاذة الجامعية من مواليد مرجعيون المقيمة في البرازيل منذ ما يقارب 36 عاماً. تحمل صفاء شهادة دكتوراه في علم الأصوات اللغوية العربية، شغلت منصب رئيسة قسم اللغات الشرقية في جامعة ساو باولو، وهي أستاذة اللغة والأدب العربي الحديث شعبة اللغة العربية لغير الناطقين بها في قسم اللغات الشرقية في جامعة ساو باولو. ترجمت العديد من الأعمال الأدبية البرازيلية إلى اللغة العربية مثل شقيقان لميلتون حاطون، سقراط وتوماس مور لجابرييل شليطة، كما ترجمت العديد من الأعمال الأدبية من اللغة العربية إلى اللغة البرتغالية، وعلى سبيل المثال ميرامار لنجيب محفوظ، رأيت رام الله لمريد البرغوثي، موسم الهجرة إلى الشمال للطيب الصالح، عزازيل يوسف زيدان، وسيدات القمر لجوخة الحارثي. وبالإضافة إلى أدب الرواية ترجمت صفاء بعض الكتب عن التراث العربي، كما ترجمت وحققت كتاب طبقات الأمم لصاعد الأندلسي وكتاب ذخيرة الإسكندر، وبالتعاون مع محمد مصطفى الجاروش صدر لها كتاب من حلب إلى باريس، رحلة إلى بلاط لويس ال14، وكتاب من المهجر إلى الوطن، مختارات من الأدب البرازيلي الصادر عن مشروع كلمة للترجمة، ضم مختارات من الأدباء البرازيليين من أصول عربية أو ممن تأثروا بالثقافة العربية، أمثال ميرنا كيروز وليونارد طنوس وماركو لوكيزي وأنا ميراندا ومارسيلو معلوف. فازت صفاء جبران بجائزة أفضل كتاب مترجم إلى اللغة البرتغالية من الأكاديمية البرازيلية للآداب عام 2014، وجائزة الشيخ حمد للترجمة والتفاهم الدولي في دورة 2019. كمان باسم السيدة أسماء صديق مؤسسة ورئيسة صالون الملتقى يشرفني أن أرحب بالدكتورة صفاء أبو شهلة جبران الملقبة بسيدة الضاد في ساو باولو، فلتتفضل مشكورة لتحدثنا عن تراجمها عامة وبشكل خاص عن الحياة الخفية لإوريديس بوزماو، إذ لولا الترجمة كنا سنعيش في مناطق يحاذيها الصمت، وفقا لما قاله جورج ستاينر الفيلسوف والمفكر والناقد الأدبي الأمريكي. مرحبا بك دكتورة صفاء، أهلا وسهلا.
شكرا لكم.
Marta, you will come now. The floor for you if you like to say something for Salon, for الملتقى Literature Salon. You will come.
Okay. Good night. Good morning for me. It's that's a very interesting. I think I want to know. Everybody is in Dubai. Is that correct?
No. We are from different in Abu Dhabi and Dubai, and some of them in Tunisia, some of Nigeria, some of them from Canada, some from all international. We are now today.
Oh, okay. It's a great pleasure to be here. I wish I could. I was going to meet Rana, and it was not possible, right? My editor, and yes, I think that Brazilian culture has the culture of Arabic countries has a lot of similarities, and I think that you can see that in the book. We have a strong immigrant culture from Arabic countries, and I remember that I grew up very, with friends and food, so it's something that it's very close to me, and I wish you can make me questions, and we can also talk about. I would like to know you all a little bit more. It's a pleasure for me.
Inshallah. Rana, we ask the question for Rana. How you choose Marta, the book?
I was in Paris, and I found this book written by a Brazilian author. And without knowing anything about Marta, I bought it and started reading it. And I found I found it so easy to read, so pleasant, and yet so deep. I said, this is the kind of novels I really like, that when it gets deep without seeming it's doing so. And so I immediately Googled the literary agent for Marta, and I asked for the Arabic rights for it. Now coming back and thinking about it, why I had this, like the French people would say, un coup de cœur, you know, immediately fell in love with the book. It's also because, as all of you have noticed, it resembles us. It's about these women, not necessarily in the 40s, but at any time, who have ambitions, who want to have a very respectable relationship with the husband, and yet being disregarded by him. And so all this is quite Oriental in that sense. And we can feel that we are so close to it because actually Marta herself comes from a culture that includes some Oriental, probably from the big communities in Brazil of Arabs, that includes, without being explicit about it, include all our worries, our sorrows, our pains, and our ambitions too, as women seeking to be recognized. So this is what happened actually. So it's really by mere coincidence that I came across this wonderful novel.
مشكورة رنا. بالعكس يعني نحن دائما نتشوق إلى أي إصدارات من دار الآداب، يعني دائما مشكورة في اختياراتك الرائعة وتعريفك تقريب المسافة بين الغرب والشرق. يعني مشكورة يا رنا. بنفتح باب الأسئلة. رنا من زلجي تفضلي، السؤال عندك.
Hello everyone. First I want to welcome Marta, Safa and Rana Idris. And I want to express my admiration for the incomparable narrative power of the Latin American writers in general. There are two ideas that caught my attention in the novel. The first idea is the past. The second idea is the others. The past that exists strongly parallel to the present and continues to cast shadow over our personality and influences many aspects of our life. The second idea is the others. The others could be customs, norms, authorities, parents, those others and their effects on ourselves that distort our human being and transform it into a combination between what we wanted for us and what the others expected of us. And I believe the writer excelled in defining the features that form their characters' psychological constructions. My question is for everyone, and my question, I believe it's the question of the book itself. How much of our being is self-imposed and decision and the results of our own decisions? And how much is inflicted by others? And thank you very much.
It's how much we are ourselves and how much we are the things we do are imposed by society.
Yes.
Right? Oh, it's a lot, right? And even I think that it's also for men. I mean, we live in a. Now I'm going to talk about the Brazilian society, right? We live in a patriarchal society, right? So. Man has some kind of role and woman has another kind of role, and we are growing with this ingrained in ourselves, right? And I think that we learn not to be a couple of things or not to do a couple of things because of our gender, and I think that can be not. It can harm women and also it can harm men, I think, because it's when you are in a society like this, a lot of men they lose the pleasure of being more close to their kids, or to be more to talk a little bit about how their feelings, and in woman, it's like this too in Brazilian society, and I maybe it's like this in. Maybe that's why it's a lot of women in all over the world can see themselves in this book, because it's not something that happened just in Brazil. It's just something that happened in the way the families were made, and because of the roles of each one in the family, right? So yeah, we are expected to, and sometimes and I think it's really hard for women. And I'm just going to say that there was I was reading the other day, it's an article about in the New York Times, right? And it was about, because the way society is structured, it was an article about all the women in American societies that went to Ivy League schools, right? Like Harvard and Yale and places like these, but because after they had kids, like the women got married and they had kids, right? Because of the way the society is structured, the job demands so much from one person today that the men say, okay, I'm going to the couple has to do a choice, right? So the couple, the man, usually is the man who said, okay, I'm going to work and I'm going to spend 12 hours a day working. And the woman, even the woman, when the woman has an important degree or, is a very good school, it's natural that she makes the choice to be with the kids. So what happened with this after 10, 15 years is that the man has a very important position and the woman, has the career that it's not that. So the problem is that it's not that good as the man. So the problem is that how society is structured and what that are making this imbalance, even with the woman when they have a higher education.
Thank you, Marta. We have a question from Mariam Luta. تفضلي Mariam.
Hi, Marta. How are you? It's really great to have you with us today.
Hi, how are you, Mariam?
Thanks. My question is, okay, while writing your novel, was it difficult to depict the complicated relationship with the sisters, the family members, and the other characters as you were writing it? And is it like based on true characters in your life?
Okay, yeah. I can say that yes, it is, but it's not like, let's say, Eurydice is not one person. Yida is not one person. Let's say that I met many women and many men in my life, and that I used parts of these to make the characters. And I think that's the answer. There's not one Eurydice and a lot of things in the book I took from the relationships in my own family, of these things I saw in my own family. And as I was growing up, it stuck me with. I met a lot of women like Zelia. Do you know Zelia? I met a lot of women that they were a little bit bitter. And I started realizing that from a very early age that many of them were not able to do the things they wanted with their lives. So I think that feeling stayed with me, and it's a very strong feeling. There's something very, very strong in my writing. I think that a lot of writings, they work with a couple of themes. Right, I like a lot. I like the subject of memory, because in a place like Brazil, we don't pay a lot of attention in our past, and I think that's extremely important. When you know the past, you know the future. That's one theme, and the other theme that it's very important for me is the other theme that I think it's important. It's how, because of a couple of the way the society is structured, many people they can't accomplish the best of themselves, So this is that's one of the main subjects in this book, because Eurydice could be one person, and she tried to be what the best that she could be in that society at that moment.
Thank you مارتا. لينا ميقاتي تفضلي عندك سؤال.
Yes, hi, شكرا أسماء للدعوة. Oh, hello everyone. Hi Marta, it's
hello.
Really pleasure to meet you. It's obviously your first book,
yes.
So it's a brilliant start, I think. Really, I loved it. It was very engaging. So what I want to say, what I found the book is about the difficult path and the hard labor towards the emancipation of women. And it's about the patriarchal society, oppression, misogyny is very obvious when, you know, the husband of Guida keeps telling her, "You're too beautiful to understand that." Okay, like these men still exist. Actually, it's either you're beautiful or you're intelligent. You cannot have both.
Yeah,
this notion still exists. And also when the husband, what was his name? The husband of Eurydice, Antenor. He tells her also, "You're just a housewife. How can you? Who is going to buy your book?" But although it's about struggle and about a lot of effort and struggle to reach the ambitious women. I mean, it's funny, it's bubbly, it's a brilliant book. I like the little skits that you put, the very funny skits. I love the character, and I have a comment. I mean, although I loved the movie, I downloaded the movie and I watched it. It's not it does not do any justice to the book. A lot of things are missing. A lot of things have changed from the book, like the life of Guida. It's not the same at all. It's totally different. But anyway, and the characters in the book are more vivid. I mean, the characters in the book, they really literally come to life. And for instance, a character like Zelia. A character like Zelia is in the movie is lost, and in the book it's much more well described, and you can read into her, and even Philomena. The part of Eurydice who didn't want to be Eurydice is also I feel that it's kind of intrinsic in her character. It's a conformist character, always ambitious, but yet very conformist to the rule of society. As opposed to her sister Guida, who's volatile and rebellious and stuff. And both are struggling both are really struggling to get what they want. And I wonder, I mean, they're both struggling and they both have their ambitions. Which is better, to behave like Guida or to behave like Eurydice? I concluded from actually before my conclusion, I would like to tell you that I think I also fell in love with the cover. I mean, from the cover, it's funny.
Beautiful.
It's a very funny cover. And it's beautiful. And I don't feel that she's invisible, Eurydice. Do you refer to invisibility because she was overlooked by her family, her own household, the invisibility in her household, like although she's doing all this work, it's not appreciated? Or is it the invisibility that it's her feeling that she believes that she did not leave any legacy because she was not allowed to leave any legacy? So she was not allowed to be a dressmaker, she was not allowed to be a writer, she was not allowed to have a cookbook. So where does her invisibility lie exactly? In her household or in her leaving a certain legacy. I feel that it's about what I always believed in, that your right, no one gives you your right. No one gives you your right. Your right is not granted to you. Your right, you earn it, okay? And you have to ask for your right. And it's about appreciating these women who were rising at the, if you say, the cradle of feminism, when it was really at the very early time of feminism. And we should appreciate them and we should thank them, because as I said, no one gives you your rights. So it's thanks to people like them who struggled. And we are today harvesting, the result of their resilience, the result of their suffering, the result of their frustration. Not that it's gone. We still have a lot of frustration. We still have a lot of suffering, especially here in the Middle East. A lot of people, they did not get yet where Eurydice and Guida are there in the 1940s. So I think that timing is everything. They struggled. They were victims of their times. And the patriarchy at that time is still there. Sorry, the patriarchy at that time, although the patriarchy, I can't blame the characters because probably they were the product of that time. But do you believe that you cannot get, no one gives you your right, it's something that you earn? And where is the invisibility you think in Eurydice? Sorry, I was very lengthy.
It's fine, don't worry. Oh, Lena, that's interesting. I'm going to start by the end. So the New York Times, they just did a special session just about women's vote, and telling the story of all the suffragists that in the beginning of the last century, and one of the pages that it said women didn't. No one gave the women the right to vote. They had to conquer it. And I think that's very interesting because that is exactly what you were talking, right? You have to conquer. And I think that in the entire world, it's a very irregular fight that we women have to do. Depending on where you are or your social level, we have different women's fights in the world. For instance, maybe here a person in California, when I am, she just trying to have a daycare for the kids so that she can go to work. And a woman, like the girls in Brazil, there are so many. We had a very sad case of a girl that was raped, and many women, and there are many rapes of women that happen in Brazil. The women are less than 13 years old. So it's so if you think about the different levels of the women's fights in the world, right? I'm sorry. In Brazil, the kids are just, the woman just want to have the right to just have a childhood, like a proper childhood. In the United States, it's another level. Maybe they are trying to just have the same salary as the man. So it's I think it's a fight that it's not equal for everybody. It's a struggle that everybody has. Regarding the legacy, I think that what is bitter about Eurydice's story is that she could have been a musician, she could have been a writer, and she was not able because of because of the place and the way she was raised and because of her marriage. And I think that happened with a lot of women when you are in your 60s and your 70s, and then maybe you can, feel a little bit bitter, what happened with Zelia, or feel a little bit frustrated because you were not able to do the things you wanted to do in life. So she was not able to leave a legacy, and I didn't want to give her a happy ending Eurydice, because I think that it shouldn't be true. I mean, I couldn't make her a very famous writer. That's why I prefer to give her, because I like happy endings. I don't like, I didn't want to make her life sad. And then I decided to give her an open end. Like, she's going to write, and we don't know what's going to happen with her writings. But I couldn't make her publishing books and being very famous, because I don't think that would be true to the things that are happening in the world. So I think that one of the problems of Eurydice is that she was not able to leave her legacy.
Thank you.
Thank you. I think nice ending. It may be the opening. It's another book or second coming. Nobody know. دكتورة رفيعة، تفضلي دكتورة رفيعة، عندك مداخلة. يا مرحبا دكتورة رفيعة.
نعم، أولا شكرا أسماء على دعواتك الكثيرة، والتي يعني اليوم شارككم والآخر مرة مع أم حمدة. أقول للكاتبة أني أنا I am lucky to have the book which I already started a week ago without knowing that there will be a discussion with you. But really, it's an honor to be introduced to the Brazilian culture. I just want to ask you about the dedication of the book. I really admire what you wrote, especially when you said to my parents, whom their presence is in everything I do, and to your teacher also. Really, I do like and appreciate those who appreciate other people. But how your parents appear in everything you do?
My what? I'm sorry.
Your parents, mother and father.
Parents, oh. I mean, I think that maybe our cultures are very similar in, I think that's, and you correct me if I'm wrong, but I have the feeling that in Arabic culture, families are very important, right? I'm telling this because I'm here. Families are very important. Like, you have like those big lunches, like in the weekends, and family is something very big. And
by the way, I am the founder of a women museum in Dubai. So
oh yes,
it is my specialty. Although I am a psychiatrist, it's the first women museum in the Arab region.
Oh wow! It's a women museum.
Yes, it's a women museum. I wish that you have the chance to see it on YouTube and to visit us one day. I can arrange an invitation for you.
And I'd love to.
And last week, the museum opened in 2012, 8 years ago. But this week, I opened one hall just for my mother, because I'm so proud of her.
Oh yes. What did it have the role for her?
Everything, economy, politics, social, but the important thing that she never detached from her culture, from her values, and she keep that in our. I mean, also, يعني, she insists that you cannot learn and develop until you are very attached to your culture, and I think I do agree with her very much. So really, I admire what you wrote up, that it's not the name of your father, but it's in everything you do. Your parents is there,
Yes, I think that because you said something very interesting there, Rafia, is that, so we have very similar cultures. Like in Brazil, we have those big lunches in the family. Families, it's very important for us. And like, I'm here in the United States now, and I feel that it's not that strong with families here. Like in the United States, like you have grandparents in one city and parents in another city, and like everybody's all over the place. And I grow up like having lunch with my in my grandparents' house every Sunday, and doing those big. My family's from they came from Portugal, so it's like this very Portuguese lunches. So that was one thing. It's just that culture, and actually it's very ingrained on me. And the other thing is that that's interesting, because when I wrote this book, I was already living in the United States, and there's something very interesting when you go to another culture. It's like it's things get more black and white.
Yeah.
It's you can see yourself. I don't know how many of you are living in other countries right now, but many of you are in other countries, but anyway, it's like you can see better your culture, right?
Yes.
And that, I think it was very important. And the other thing is that I knew that my culture, it's something that only I was able to write about it, because I mean, there's so many extremely good writers in the United States and all over the world, but there's this thing that I know that I'm the only one who is able to tell this. And this book has a lot of these. It's a story it's a very particular point of view in a neighborhood of Rio de Janeiro that is not fancy, and that I know, and I think that's a big gift that a writer has to do. He or she shouldn't write about places that are fancy or everybody knows about. They should write about what they know, and I try to do that in the book.
Yeah. Can you tell me a little about your teacher, please? The teacher who taught you the language, the Portuguese language.
Yeah, so she was a very, I had to really work hard in her writing, and I had to do creative writing. I had a notebook, and I had to do a creative writing work every week. And also all these repetitions of Portuguese, and I don't know how it's the teaching in Arabic, but like that's every day you repeat this to just learn the language, like this very. She was a very. I had to work really hard in her classes, and she had so much energy, and I grew up so much during her classes, and I think that. The teachers, they are so important. They form us, right? So like the person I am today, it's because of these teachers and because of other teachers that they really form me. There's this time of your life that you are like a blank page, right? And these people, they are just form you. So yeah.
Thank you very much. Thank you. أسماء تفضلي.
مشكورة يا دكتورة رفيعة، ما قصرتي، الله يحفظك إن شاء الله. وإن شاء الله كلنا المجموعة نحضر المتحف إن شاء الله، ونتشرف بزيارة غرفة الوالدة الله يحفظها ويقسمها إن شاء الله. سؤال، تفضلي الأخت سعدية، تفضلي سعدية.
Good evening everybody. Good evening Marta.
Good evening.
It was lovely reading your book. It was very interesting. Everything in it is interesting from page 1 till the end. I love this free ending, so you can choose the ending you want. I have a question, not particularly for you, but for all women. Why are women responsible of the honor of the families? Why it's on her shoulder? Either she will honor her family or she will dishonor them. And thank you very much.
Well, I don't know if I can answer this question completely, because this kind of honor to the family, I can tell you, maybe that's more strong in your culture. Sadaya, is that how I speak your name? Because there was a moment in Brazil that virginity was important. I'm not sure if that's important today anymore. So we don't have this problem of honor that's very heavy. We did have at the moment of the book, right? But I think it's very, very wrong. And I think that's something that I don't think it's that strong in Brazil right now. And but it is in other cultures in the world. I know it is. Why it is? I think it's like the system that is the patriarchal system.
Actually, it's important in our society. It's also very, very important. But why the honor of the family is depend on the virginity of the girls. I don't understand why.
هاي قصة قديمة سعدية، وهاي مالها يعني موجودة في كل المجتمعات يعني، ولين الحين في الدفاع عن الشرف موجودة لين الحين بعض المجتمعات يعني. We go another question with Monica. You have any question, Monica? يا مرحبا Monica. Monica Kraus from Berlin. Hi Monica. The voice.
I switched it on right now. Yes, I'm coming in from Berlin. It's great to meet you, Martha. I admit that I came into this session very spontaneously because my old friend Asma invited me. And because I know Rana, we worked together a few years ago. Remember Rana? Great to see you.
Of course.
And I knew that I could rely on her. I admit that I haven't read the book. I just went through it very quickly because it was so spontaneous. But it was interesting for me to see this big difference between Berlin, the Orient, Brazil, and to find out that my mother is Arabic, my father's German. So I have, these two worlds in me.
Yeah.
I have 3 daughters, and I have this problem myself as well with these strong women who struggle and who have to find their way in the world. So what I'm going to do tomorrow morning is go to my bookstore, which is just across the street here, to get your book and to read it. But from what I have seen and from what I know about Rana's publishing house, I know that it is exactly what I want to read. So I very much look forward to that. Thanks a lot.
رنا. صفاء، الترجمة صفاء موجودة؟ دكتورة صفاء، يا مرحبا.
نعم أنا هنا.
يا مرحبا دكتورة صفاء. مرحبا فيك دكتورة صفاء، وترجمتك ولغتك وأسلوبك وروح الرواية، يعني النص نقلتي لنا إياها كأنها بلغتك الأصلية، يعني كأن أنت الكاتبة. ما دور المترجم لتوصيل الكتاب بنفس الروح؟ يعني ما هو الدور اللي يقوم فيه المترجم بحيث اللي يكون هو الجسر من الكاتب وبين الثقافات الأخرى يعني؟ يا مرحبا فيك. شو الرواية عندك لك يعني، وليش قررتي تترجمين هاي الرواية بالذات؟
مساء الخير للجميع. بون ديا مارتا.
بون ديا صفاء.
حسنا، أنا لم أقرر أن أترجم الرواية، ولكن رنا طلبت مني هذا وحاولت أن أكون على حسن ظنها وقمت بترجمة الرواية، ولكنها لم تكن مهمة سهلة أبداً. عادة الترجمة هي مهمة ليست بالسهلة، وخاصة عندما نترجم من لغة كالبرتغالية إلى العربية وإلى عدة مناطق عربية. نحن نعلم أنها هي اللغة واحدة، ولكنها في الحقيقة ليست واحدة. فهنا المترجم يدخل ويريد أن يختار، وعليه أن يختار حتى العبارات والمفردات وكيف سيقرأها المواطن القارئ العربي مثلا في لبنان أو في سوريا أو في الإمارات أو في مصر، هل سيفهم؟ والتحدي الكبير في الحقيقة الذي واجهته في ترجمة هذه الرواية هو أسلوب مارتا. كان من الصعب جدا أن أجد النقطة الصحيحة لذلك، لأن أولا كما نعلم، كما من يترجم يعرف بهذا، أنه عدا عن أن يكون الجسر بين ثقافتين أو لغتين، عليه أن يكون قارئ جيد وعليه أن يكون أيضا كاتب جيد، وهذا شيء صعب أن نجده في شخص واحد. لذلك الصعوبة تكمن هنا أيضا. أنا حاولت بكل الطرق أن أكون مكان القارئ العربي وأرى لأجل هل يمكنه أن يفهم هذا أو يفهم هذه النقطة أو هذه العبارة. ولذلك قررت في بعض الأماكن أن أضع بعض الملاحظات على الهوامش. لا أدري إذا كان هذا اختيار جيد، ولكن أعتقد أنه يساعد قليلا عندما نقرأ عن ثقافات غير معروفة. حاولت، لا أعرف بصراحة وبصدق، لا أعرف إذا كنت قد نجحت. لن أقول كليا لأن ليس هناك نجاح في الترجمة كلي، وليس هناك ترجمة نهائية، ولكن لا أعرف إذا كنت قد نجحت في هذا، ولكني حاولت بكل جهدي. ولكني عندي أحاول، أظن أن الجميع هنا هل هذا قرأ بالإنجليزية أو بالعربية؟ أظن أن أغلب الناس قرأوها بالإنجليزية.
في ناس قروها بالإنجليزي، في شخصيات قروها. دكتور هنا هيفا العبيدلي قرأتها بالإنجليزية. هيفا موجودة، تسمعينا هيفا؟ هيفا قرأتها، واعتقد لينا ميقاتي يمكن قروها بالإنجليزي. بس أنت بحكم وجودك في البرازيل يمكن سهل عليك فهم البيئة، يعني يمكن هاي
طبعا
البيئة يعني
طبعا. أنا عفوا السيدة أسمن قطعتك، لكن أنا
لا قصدي الله يطول بعمرك، يعني وجودك في البرازيل يمكن سهل عليك الرواية أنك تترجمينها بروح النص، يعني بحيث أنها تكون قريبة منك يعني.
نعم، سهل بهذه الطريقة أني أنا أفهم المجتمع البرازيلي، لأني أعيش فيه منذ أكثر من 36 سنة، تقريبا 38 سنة. فأنا يعني أعتبر أني برازيلية أكثر مما أنا عربية يمكن. كل ما عندي من العروبة لنقل هو اللغة، ولكني لا أعيش اللغة العربية، أعيش أكثر اللغة البرتغالية، ولكن اللغة العربية هي تعيش فيا. لذلك هو من الأسهل علي ربما أن أترجم من اللغة العربية إلى اللغة البرتغالية، ولكني حاولت، وهذا كان تحدي كبير، وأنا سررت بالنتيجة. وكان عندي هنا صديق كنت دائما أقول له: هل لك أن تقرأ ما كتبت في كيف كانت الترجمة، وقل لي إذا كان العربي سيفهم هذا. فكان عندي مساعدة من هذه الجهة، ولا أعرف، كنت أريد أن أحد يعلق على الترجمة العربية إذا كانت قد ساعدت على فهم النص أو الثقافة. وأنا هنا لأجيب على أي سؤال. شكرا.
إن شاء الله. في سؤال من أحد الضيوف، الأخت فاطمة، تقول: سؤالي للمترجمة صفاء، هل الترجمة أو ترجمة العمل الأدبي الروائي مراحل؟ وإن كانت نعم، ما هي المراحل؟
نعم، العمل الأدبي هو من أصعب الأعمال للترجمة، وهي على مراحل، ولكن أظن أن كل مترجم عنده طريقة للقيام بهذه المهمة. فمثلا هناك من يقرأ النص أولا ثم يترجم بعض الأشياء ثم يعود إليها. هناك طرق عديدة لكنها مراحل، وهي مراحل يعيش فيها المترجم وحده، ولذلك هي عزلة، هو عمل في عزلة وفي وحدة، ولذلك يعيش المترجم أيضا داخل الشخصيات ويحاول أن يدخل فيها ليجعلها تتكلم بتلك اللغة باللغة الأخرى وإلى الثقافة الأخرى. فهذا صعب جدا. ولكن هناك أيضا المراحل عندما تخرج هذه أو تترك هذه الترجمة يد وحياة المترجم وتذهب إلى الناشر، وهناك أيضا أشياء تحصل. هناك حوار يدور مع الناشر حول بعض العبارات، بعض الكلمات، وبعض التصحيحات وبعض التنقيحات. ولكن هو ككل شيء، نعم، أظن أنها على مراحل ومراحل، وكل مرحلة لها صعوبتها وتحدياتها. أظن لا أعرف إذا أجبت على السؤال.
مشكورة دكتورة صفاء. في سؤال من الأخت عزة، تفضلي يا عزة. عزة موجودة؟
مساء الخير على حضراتكم.
مساء الخير.
Good evening everybody. For the beautiful writer, as you have mentioned, the speakers before me, that there are many common factors between the heroines of the novel and our society, such as the concern for the family, the love of religious symbols and issue of virginity, and many other common factors. And maybe that's why the Latin literature is famous and popular for us in our countries. Did you have the chance to read to our writers or novelists, even the famous one? Did you read for them?
No. Actually, I want to know. Maybe I can have some recommendations after these. But it's and maybe Safa can help me talking about this theme, because she is from the two cultures, right? She's from the Brazilian cultures and from the Arabic culture. So I want her to help me. But I just want to say two things. Like it's so beautiful to listen to you all talking. When I was like, it's beautiful. I was like it when Safa was talking. Just I like the sounds. And the other thing is that I'm looking to all of you, and you could just be in Brazil, and you wouldn't be considered like from other country. Like the faces of all of you are so similar to the faces of Brazilians. Like and Safa can talk a little bit more about the similarities of the two cultures.
Thank you. We have a question.
Asma, may I?
تفضل يا رنا.
She just did that or no? I don't know if she did that in Arabic. Yes.
Yes. Let me just make one point clear. It's the choice of the translator. Of course, we know this is a very important issue, the issue of translation, especially for a literary novel. We have many translators from Portuguese to Arabic, and we collaborate with many of them. However, I made it a point to choose Dr. Safa for the translation, because this novel specifically is the saga, I would say, is full of flavors, colors, smells of Brazil. I wanted someone who have a first-hand experience in these things, specifically because it has quite a lot of folklore in it, not in the bad sense, in the very nice sense, It has a lot of local, as I said, flavors. And so I think Safa has done a wonderful job portraying this and conveying it to the Arab readers, really.
Yeah, I would like to say thank you as well, because I think that when the book is translated, I do think that the translator is as important as the writer. I mean, it's like it's the work of the translator that will be able to send the feeling of the book and to do the proper word to translate it. So it's very important, Safa, your work.
Thank you.
جزيل، عندك سؤال جزيل؟ تفضلي جزيل.
هل تسمحين؟
ايه تفضلي صفاء.
هناك سؤال عن ما قلته عن كل ما عندي من العروبة هو اللغة. لا أعرف أني لا أدري إذا ربما لم أعبر عن نفسي بطريقة جيدة. بالعكس عندي من العروبة أكثر من اللغة. ولكن ما كنت أريد أن أقوله أنني لا أعيش اللغة العربية يوميا على مستوى يومي. لذلك ليس من السهل ليس شيئا سهلا أن أترجم من اللغة البرتغالية إلى اللغة العربية، وعلي أن أفكر بالقارئ بالأول. وعملية الترجمة ليست أن ننقل وهذا بديهي، يعني كل العالم تعرفه أنه ليس نقل من لغة إلى أخرى. علي مثلا عندما مارتا كتبت، عندما كانت تصف كل تلك الأطباق وكل تلك العادات، كان علي أن أعرف كيف سأصور هذه الأشياء للقارئ العربي وهو لا يعرفها. مثلا هناك ملاحظة كتبتها عن الفاصوليا مثلا. هناك طبق في البرازيل يؤكل يوميا، هو الطبق الأساسي في المطبخ البرازيلي اليومي، وهو الفاصوليا وبجانبها الأرز الأبيض، وقد يدخل مع هذا غير أشياء تتغير يوميا منها إلى البيض وإلى السلطات وغيرها. فمثلا عندما وصلت إلى هذه النقطة لم يعجبني أن أكتب كلمة فاصوليا، لأنني قلت كل من يعرف الفاصوليا في البلاد العربية سيعتقد أن هذه هي نفس الفاصوليا الموجودة. لذلك كتبت هذه الملاحظة، وكتبت فيها
حتى ملاحظتك في كاريوكا، يعني فهمتينا اياها.
كلمة كاريوكا، نعم، كاريوكا هو من يعيش ومن يربى في الريو دي جانيرو، له هذا اسم كاريوكا لأن الكلمة جميلة، وظننت أني علي أن أتركها كما هي كما يقال. لذلك أعود إلى ما كنت أتحدث عنه، هو أن هذه المسألة ليست سهلة. لذلك ربما ما قالته السيدة رنا أنها عندما اختارت من سيترجم هذا الكتاب اختارت شخص يعيش في الثقافة البرازيلية منذ وقت طويل، لأنه يعرف كيف تحدث. ربما كان هذا اختيار جيد شخصيا وبصدق. أنا أشكر السيدة رنا على ثقتها بي، وأيضا لأنها أعطتني هذه الفرصة للقيام بهذا العمل. فكما قلت كل عمل أترجمه هو رحلة وهو مغامرة وهو تحدي قبل كل شيء. أشكركم.
مشكورة، الله يخليك. تفضلي فاتنة، السيدة فاتنة تفضلي.
مساء الخير للجميع. Dear Marta, your novel is an encyclopedia of a half century of the ways of life in Rio. You compressed it in over only 200 pages. We knew and studied about Rio as if we lived there with your heroine, Russi. بلاش الاسم. How did you manage that? What were your tools? And one phrase I want to tell it to Safa to explain it, to translate it to you in Portuguese. دكتورة صفاء إذا سمحتي كيف تقولي لها إنه الرواية جميلة جدا لأنها من السهل الممتنع. وشكرا جزيلا. Thank you so much. Thank you رنا الأدب. Thank you أسماء حبيبتي. Thank you.
Marta, Fatina está querendo que eu diga a você que o romance é muito bonito e ele é do tipo que é fácil e difícil de fazer. É fácil de ler, difícil de fazer. Ok? Então ela gostou muito e agradece.
Obrigada, Safa.
We have a question of Maria Forica. Maria, please, the floor for you.
لا بدها تجاوبني أسمع. What were her tools?
Sorry, فكرت ما جاوبت. Sorry.
لا. What were her tools? You compressed the whole.
Marta, a Fátima está querendo que você responda para ela sobre quais são os instrumentos usados para conseguir esse feito.
Ok,
né?
Em inglês, né? Eu respondo em inglês.
Yes, okay.
Okay, I think it's memory. Memory is very important. And wow. I also did, like not memory, but my memory of how was life in that time, you know? How was life in that part of Brazil? that I knew because my grandparents lived in the area and my parents. So my memory of how the families used to be when I was growing up, when I was a kid. And the other part is I did a lot of research about the time. I read the newspapers of the time, and there is something I'm going to tell you. That's a funny story. When my grandmother was a very good cook, and she when she died, I was happy because I was going to inherit. I'm sorry, I'm not happy, but one of the things that I said, well, I'm going to stay with her. I know, I'm sorry. I was going to stay with her cookbook. That made me happy. Sometimes it's hard to say some things in English. Sorry about that. And I was with her cookbook, and I said, well, let's see how the recipes are done. And the recipe started like duck with oranges. I remember that was a duck, and it was like first thing it's buy the duck.
Yeah.
The second thing is kill the duck, and I was like kill the duck, and I was like, Jesus Christ, it's just that small piece of information. It says so much about the work of that woman at that time, because today we go to a supermarket and you buy something even like ready, and in that time you had to do so much work. So this is an example of how this small piece of information and it translated in a couple of pages of the book of her Eurydice cooking, and so how much more work they had at that time, right? So much more housework the woman had at that time. So this is one example of the tools I use it, right? It's just a small piece of information that translated in a couple of pages of the book.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. We have Maria Brica, please.
Oh, hello, how are you?
Hi, Maria, how are you?
Where?
Very happy to see you, at least virtually. So,
can you make more the
now?
volume for the speaker?
Yeah. 1 second, I'm trying, but I am full in my volume. You don't hear me very well?
Yes, no? Marta, you hear her?
I do hear, yes. I can see you, but I'm looking for you, but I can hear you. It's fine, yeah.
Hear me? Now you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay. So, I am very curious. I come from Ecuador. I am a visual artist from Ecuador living in Dubai, and I am very touched by the presence of Latin America that I would like to thank Asma and all of you to put the heart of Latin America in our hearts as women. I have a specific question related to let's say the locality of the Latin American woman being a writer or an artist. In your case, a writer. So we know that universally there are incredible Latin American writers that have been distinguished. But I would like to take the case of United States. Everyone knows that United States give anyone a platform of liberation. I am talking about the ideas. I am talking about our credos. I am talking about the freedom of expression. Well, before these particular times during history. So, if we see, for example, many cases as Isabel Allende and some others, the fact that they live in United States give them immediate, how I can tell you, again, like liberation and more opportunities that accelerate the process of being universal somehow, which is not exactly the case of some formidable Latin American writers that stay in their countries. So, how do you see the evolution of this particular area, writing coming from Latin American writers in the United States? And if you see the difference as I am talking about it, how do you see the evolution of the Latin American literature coming from Latin American women? The fact of living and working outside our terrible weight, the weight that we have in our own countries, is affect the capacity to be connected with the world, because last word, this sensation that we experiment when we create in these countries where we born is completely different when we create in the countries where we work outside, that give us somehow another type of passport. Thank you very much, and congratulations for your book.
Thank you, Maria. I can. Oh, you are here now. I saw you. I don't see. You don't have the photo. I think that it's the only. There is a problem. The big market in the world is for publishing. It's the market of books written in English, right? So we all from other cultures, we will. I think that our books can go further if they are written in English, because they are huge markets in the United States and in Europe, and also because it's many countries they buy the English. It's easier to translate from the English, and there is a real market in the United States for publishing. I think that for all the other writers that they write in other languages, it's a little bit more difficult. And also for Isabel Allende, what happened is that she's really good. So she has her books translated to English. So I think there are two things. It does not matter the place she is born. I think it matters more the language the person writes, to have maybe the book more out there, because many times a lot of publishers, they can't have access to what we write because they don't read Portuguese, they don't read Arabic, they don't read other things. So that's one thing. The other thing is that something that I already mentioned, that when you are in another country, or when you are in a country like the United States, there is a huge flow of information. You have access, and if you write, especially if you read in English, I think that you have more access to a lot of information. Because most of information is published in English today. And let's say that I would only speak Portuguese and I would be in Brazil, the kind of information that I was going to receive would be different than if the kind of information that I received being American and Brazilian at the same time. So I think this. And then there is something that I mentioned before, is that it's very interesting for you to be in another culture writing about your own country. And I made a point when I started my career that I wanted to write about Brazil, because what's happened in the United States, there you have a lot of writers from that they are first born in the United States and their parents are from other cultures, and there is a particular genre of book here in the United States that they tell their experiences as immigrants in the United States. There are like tons of books about this, like how is the experience of an Indian immigrants or Arabic or Brazilians, and I didn't want to do that. I didn't want to do a book in the United States. I think that it's very important to be able to tell the stories in Brazil, and I decided very early I made this option to write in Portuguese. I could have made the option to write in English, but I have the feeling that we need more books. Brazil needs more writers than the United States, because here it's so many. So that's why I thought of.
Allow me, please, the last word. Do you know how you taste the temperature, let's say, inside Brazil, about those writers that didn't have the opportunity to go out, the Brazilian writers creatively talking? I am not talking exactly about the fact of publishing something internationally, but more that to feel the essence of those women that are there inside your country, right? Is there any parallel that we can establish to compare how authentic is that feeling of being Latin America, writing in Latin America, or they are exploring for the fact of being inside another areas? How is the evolution of these women that are writing inside your country?
There's a big movement of Brazilian writers right now, and Safa can help me answer this, because she probably knows a lot of Brazilian writers as well. I think that, And just a point, I'm just saying that because I live in the United States, I like the fact that I can see better my country here, but I think that you can live in a place and never leave this place and do an outstanding kind of literature. There is a sentence from Carlos Drummond de Andrade that I like very much. It says, like, to see well is not to see everything. It's to be able to see what the others can't see. And I like this because you might never leave your country, but you are going to have that particular way of seeing things that are going to be special.
Marta, your voice. أعتقد أن الصوت ممكن
going all over the world, right?
Yes.
And of writers. And Safa, what do you think about that? Do you think that?
I want to say, sorry, I was talking in Portuguese. لا أدري هناك بعض الأشياء التي يجب أن تكتب في لغتنا، ولغتنا هي تلك اللغة التي نشعر براحة عندما نكتب بها. مثلا أنا أسكن في البرازيل منذ 38 سنة، ولكن ما زال هناك أشياء لا أكتبها إلا باللغة العربية، لأنها هي الوحيدة التي أستطيع أن أعبر ليس فقط عن نفسي بها، لكن عن أشياء كثيرة إلا باللغة العربية. مع أني أكتب في اللغة البرتغالية وفي اللغة الإنجليزية وخاصة الأعمال الأكاديمية وكل هذا، ولكن هناك أشياء لا أستطيع إلا باللغة العربية. أما من ناحية، لا أعرف إذا فهمت السؤال الذي أجابت عليه مارتا من قبل، لكن أعتقد أن الترجمة مثلا لها دور كبير في هذا المجال، عندما تحاول أن توصل إلى الآخر ما يقوله أحدهم في إحدى اللغات. لا أرى طريقة أخرى في أن نقرأ أو نتعلم عن ثقافة ولغة أخرى إلا إذا كنا نعلمها أو نتقن تلك اللغة لنقرأ أدبها أو من خلال الترجمة. أعتقد أن هذا ما عندي لأقوله. Marta, I tried to say something about Hawaii to write in our language, the language you feel better. I don't know if I did it the way you wanted.
No, we are partners here.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, we are.
You are partner. Today we are four partners: the writers and translators and publisher and who read. We are the.
Yeah, of course.
We are four partners today.
Yes. Yes, it's a conversation. Yeah.
And we have a question from Dr. Jamila. تفضلي Dr. Jamila.
I have a question for you. Can I ask a question?
Yes.
Yes. How is the state of women in Arabic countries? I mean, it's like did you do a lot of emancipation? Are you it's different than the past? What's the it's everybody can work and do whatever they want, or it's not, or depending on the social class? I would like to know more about that.
And if you want, because I can't talk about United Arab Emirates because I am from there and we have different nationality with you now. In United Arab Emirates, the woman is equally with the man, actually, in everything, in the gender and in the work and also education, studying. control her house. The woman is equally with the man. We don't have.
No, I
any
say in
difference,
Arabic-speaking countries, not like Arabic-speaking countries, not from your countries.
Like, yes, I talk from my country. This one, the women here, the gender equally with the woman and the man. We don't have any issue. And I am the first generation who's studying. And Dr. Rafia Ghabash, she's also one of pioneers in our country. The woman, always she has a right. The woman always, she's respectable in her house and she can do what she wants through the tradition and culture and religion. But the woman always, never we have any problem. We don't have any suffering, and it's normal. It's like any, but now the woman in this 2020, she reached equally with the man in everything, in salary, in work, in the rights and everything. The woman, she can do what you want, but within the frame of culture and tradition. We like to keep it, yani. See, today I am with you with my abaya, with my shela. We are happy, and we don't have any things to fight about it. It's because the government itself a lot. And that's why about my country, it's I'm from United Arab Emirates because I have all the right to be equally with the man, because normally it depends what you want. Sometimes the woman, she wants everything, but she fight for something, maybe she has it, but she want to fight only. But here we are comfortable. I think I don't know, maybe another woman, she can answer you. Dr. Jamila, she can ask you because she works with the Women Association. Jamila?
Yes, hello. Good evening, everybody. Thanks very much for the extraordinary team. Marta, Safa, Rana, and before that, Asma and her team. First of all, I have visited Brazil 3 years ago as a member of the Family World Organization, and Dr. Daisy Kostra is a very close friend of mine, and I invited her yesterday to this session, and she said I will spread it all to Brazil, but she's in the UN today. She has a session there in the UN. In fact, when I went to Brazil, I found that you have very good policies for family and women, especially for children, and we learned from that as best practices. The only difference between us and you have region there in Brazil. In each region, maybe you have their own policies and law, because it's maybe very vast area of or very big country. Here, the policies are not because we are saying that. According to the international benchmarking or international reports, we are always number one in the Arab region regarding equality, regarding happiness, regarding CEDAW reports, regarding all the reports that goes to the organization, international organization. We are number one in the region, in the Arab region. For that, we are proud, as Asma said, to be part of, I don't want to say women revolution, no, to be part of this investment in women. Our country invested on us. That's why we feel that we are empowered with abilities to go forward and proceed with all the women in the world. Maybe we started like 40 years ago, but now we are equal or maybe more advanced in with other countries in other world. And if you allow me to go back, this is not considered from my 5 times Asma. Okay. Marta, I really enjoyed the novel very much, and your ability to develop the psychological part of the characters. I found that very much there, and it was very logical, very convincing to me, especially when you presented the Deirdre's, that she's like an ambitious woman. She wanted to prove to herself before proving to others that she has ability to be there. And I don't think that Marta in the novel meant to present a man as a conflict for women, because sometimes women can be a conflict for a woman. I think that she wanted to say that the real creativity is that to be to be and live with a goal in life, and to flourish, to flourish in your environment and in your culture and your society, and with simplicity. And this is, to me, was very, very there in the novel. I found it, and thank you for Tamar. In page 49, there is a phrase said that thinking about life goal. And here, I think Marta started from this point as the essence of the novel. It's not about others, it's about ourselves, about life goal. And I found that very universal. Thank you very much for it. I have two questions for Rana. Do you do back translations for the translator, or you just accept it and take it for granted because you trust her? And for Safa, if you are confronted with any colloquial language, what do you do? Sometimes they are colloquial language or phrases, very difficult for you, even if you live there for 35 years, and you found it very difficult to be translated with the same spirit of meaning to Arabic. What do you do? Thank you.
Marta?
No, it's for Rana and for you.
Yeah, Marta right? Also, yeah. For me, Marta, I found it is not the conflict between man and woman. No, it's about self-awareness. It's about life goals. Yeah, it's not that. For that, I wanted to make it clear because this is the meaning.
Yes, really I think I think it's also about the way society is raised. I try to have empathy for our characters, also for the men, and I think that the way society is structured creates the kinds of conflicts that I had in the book. So I don't think that it's not a pointing thing in the man. It's it's the structure of the society.
Yeah, it's the mindset and the culture of all the groups of human society.
Yes, Jamila, I think that's it. Yeah.
Rana.
So.
رنا إدريس. الصوت رنا.
ما في صوت.
Well, what actually happened is that, of course, we knew about Safa Jebran's reputation as a very conscientious translator. But we are very meticulous in this. So what happened is that, as always, we asked with our first collaboration with any translator, we asked her in a very, and she was extremely modest in this, like to show us some examples of her translation of this specific book, of this specific novel, just to see if the Arabic she is using will catch the spirit of the book and this. The other thing is that we don't really need to know Portuguese because we have other translations we can compare with. So Dr. Safa gave us like the first chapter of the book. I had the French, I read it in French. So I had the French translation with me, and I started comparing. If I were to translate this from French to Arabic, how would that be? And I found that the translation, Dr. Safa's translation, was very, how do I say it? She stuck to the text while having the liberty to use the Arabic in a very expressive way that conveys, as I said, the colors and the spirit of the book. So yes, we do, while translating, it's not really monitoring the translation, but certainly checking, if you want, checking out if everything is in place.
Safa?
صفاء تفضلي.
شكرا جميلة.
حمد الألقاب دكتورة صفاء، اسمحي لنا يعني نسميك صفاء
يعني. نعم
يعني اسمحي لنا نقول لك صفاء يعني دكتورة صفاء.
دخيلك دكتورة أوصيها ما بدي صفاء بس صفاء بس. جميلة، في خلال الترجمة من المستحيل أن تجدي في غير لغة أو في اللغة الأخرى نفس العبارات أو هذا من الصعب جدا، وخاصة بين ثقافتين مختلفتين لهذه الدرجة. لذلك هناك من يقول على المترجم أن يكون مخلصا، وأنا أقول على المترجم أحيانا أن لا يكون مخلصا في هذه، يعني أن يكون خائنا بين الكثير من الأقواس. وماذا أعني في هذا؟ عندما لا تستطيعين أن تجدي عبارة مقابلة أو قريبة من شيء ما، عليك أن تعملي على تغييرها أو اختيار آخر، ولكن دون طمس الخصائص الموجودة في اللغة الأولى. وهذا أعتذر إذا كنت سأقول شيئا الآن، وهذا ما نجده بعض المرات في الترجمات إلى اللغة الإنجليزية من نفس الكتاب. كما أنا أعمل في الترجمة، فإني بنفس الوقت الذي أترجم به مثلا من اللغة العربية إلى البرتغالية أقرأ نفس الكتب التي ترجمت إلى الإنجليزية، وهناك الكثير من التدخل الذي ليس تدخل إيجابي في التغيير القليل من اللغة حتى تصلي إلى ما تريدينه في اللغة الأخرى. فهو مرات بعض الترجمات تطمس الكثير من المعالم الموجودة والتي يجب أن تبقى في الترجمة. هناك من يقول علينا أن نقرأ الكتاب المترجم كأنه ليس ترجمة، علينا أن نشعر أنه في تلك اللغة. أنا لا أعتقد أن هذا مناسبا. أعتقد أن يجب علينا أن نعرف أنها هي مترجمة، ولكن أن تكون في لغة طبعا قريبة منا. أما الترجمة من اللغة البرتغالية إلى العربية هي صعبة دائما، لأني كما قلت في البدء علينا أن نجد مثلا من حيث المفردات، لن نذهب أكثر من هذا، كيف نقول مثلا شرشف من الشرشف. في بعض الأماكن لا يستعملون هذه الكلمة حتى ولو داخل العربية، ولا يمكنك أن تذهبي إلى كلمة موجودة في القاموس وتقولي سأشتغل هذه الكلمة لأنها معروفة في كل البلدان. هذا سيبدو غريبا. لذلك عليك أن يكون عندك القليل من الحساسية لنقول هكذا في الترجمة كي تصلين إلى هذا. لا أعرف إذا أجبت جميلة على سؤالك.
نعم شكرا، أجبتي وبطلاقة.
مشكورة دكتورة صفاء. بالفعل يعني إذا كما كانت الترجمة قريبة من مستوى الشخصيات الموجودة بالرواية، يعني بعد هذا جدا مهم، يعني تكون الشخصيات ما تكون يعني في الشخصية النخبوية غير عن الشخصية العادية البسيطة يعني.
طبعا.
وأعتقد أنت قدرتي دكتورة أنك توصلين اللي يكون التقارب بين الشخصية واللغة اللي يستخدمونها، يعني وخصوصا باللغة الأجنبية ما عندهم مثل اللغة العربية. اللغة العربية كثير فيها الفاصلة من بين المستوى اللهجة من بين.
نعم.
وشكرا. يعني في عندنا سؤال من سلوى. تفضلي سلوى، أخرناك سلوى، اسمحي لنا. سلوى. في سؤال من هنادي. تفضلي هنادي. صلاح.
Hello, good evening. Thank you so much for introducing this book to us in Arabic, Safa. I was so much taken by the translation, and thank you, Nada Dries. for bringing this to the Arab world. My question is the problem of the woman all over the world is because of man or because of her state of mind? And how far a woman can liberate herself outside the man ego if she decides to do so? And this question was raised out of the reading and out of seeing that we always blame the man on everything that happened to us, at a point where I saw so many leaders, women leaders in the Arab world and all over the world that broke the borders and liberated themselves despite all the restriction and despite all the rules that were against them. Thank you so much.
Should I answer or?
Yes.
I think that the problem is that sometimes the problem is in the woman because it's ingrained on her. I mean, the way I see in Brazil is that many women, they grow up just to be beautiful or to, if you're going to have a career, it's going to be just for a while, or it's going to be, you don't need to make as much money as your husband. So women are raised like this. They are raised to be wives, to be mothers, and I think that the men, they are raised in a different way, and I think that the way I see it, it's a form of control, because then they can control the public policies, they can control the politics, they can control everything if the women just are confined to that space. So I think that sometimes it's not the women, they have that ingrained themselves because of society.
Anad, may I?
Yes, تفضل.
Yes.
Let's see. I only wanted to say this, that we still, everywhere, when you have a child, which is a girl, the first toy you give it to her is a toy. It's a child. And to the boy, you give him a ball. So since then, you are trying, I think so,
yes,
to decide their future. So you are going to try, go ahead, you are going to school, but still you are going to take care of babies. You are a mother, and you are a boy, you have to go to the streets, you can play the ball with your friends in the streets. I don't know if with this example I could
it's a very good example. Yes.
the way
well point.
Yes.
Good point.
So of course things are changing, but in a very slow way. And I don't think that in Brazil now we can say that it's the same thing as in the Arab world. Sometimes I feel that the society which Marta described in her book in the 40s and 50s, it's still like that in some places in the Arab world. And I'm not criticizing, I am just saying it's not the same thing everywhere. And it is not because women have to do more or the men, they have to give more liberty to the women. No, it's more complicated than that. There are political and there are political background for all this. Thank you.
Thank you very much. We have a question from Dr. Hannah. Dr. Hannah. We have Dr. Hannah. تفضلي. Dr. Hannah, she's translator also, and she's a member of our book club. تفضلي دكتورة. الصوت الدكتورة. الصوت دكتورة.
Yeah. Good evening, everyone. Good evening, Marta. Good evening, Safa. I would like first to congratulate Marta. I read your book with the club of الملتقى with Asma in Arabic, so I read it in Arabic. I congratulate Safa. It's a very good translation. Really, I can feel it. It's really great. And when we read the book, it was really a pleasure. Every member in the group enjoyed reading this book. What can I ask? I will ask Safa about the translation. I would like first to know how old was you when you went to Brazil?
Oh, I was almost 20 years.
20 years old, okay.
Yeah, I was almost 20. Yeah. So I've been here for 38 years, so now I am 68. 58, sorry, 58.
And don't put more age. Don't put more years.
No. I need to say it. I'm not going to.
No, I didn't pay attention to your age. I just wanted to know if.
Yeah. But I was almost. I want to say this in English so Marta can be with us. Yeah. I was almost 20 years. I came from Lebanon in 82.
Yeah.
I've been here since then.
Yeah, so you did your studies in Arabic before going to Brazil?
Yeah. Till the 20th then, and then I studied in Brazil.
Yeah. And you continued to read in Arabic or
always?
Yeah.
All these books I have here in Arabic. Nowadays I read more in Arabic than in Portuguese. Yeah, always.
Yeah.
في سؤال من الأخت نادية.
Thank you.
تفضلي نادية.
Hello again. I have a small remark for Dr. Safa and a small question for Marta. Dr. Safa, you said you wanted to hear from those who read the book in Arabic. Of course, in Al-Multaqa, in Asma's group, we only read novels in Arabic. So, bearing in mind that it's difficult to have always a final and perfect version of any translation, your translation brought the novel to my heart, to my touched my senses much more than the movie that I saw.
Yeah.
Okay. Now that's one answer to your request. Marta, talking about the movie, I don't know if you have an answer to that. How far can an author interfere with the filmmakers because for me the film was really very different from the novel. So how far can you interfere in producing a movie when the producers go so far from the script? I mean, the script goes so far from the lines of the book. And thank you, Marta.
Thank you. So what you said about the translation, it's really nice because that's completely Safa's work, because I think it's very hard to make a translation that you can touch I think that's the main goal of the translation, is that you can have that experience of reading that can touch your heart, and that's Safa that can do this. It's not, it's all her work. So thank you, Safa, for that. Well, there's something very. It depends on the author, Nadia. I saw the rights for the movie, and they didn't want to interfere in anything. And I'm going to tell you something. What happening with this book is that the producer read the book and he said, "Oh God, I see so many stories of my family in this book." And the director is. He was raised by a single mom, and his aunt, he had an aunt called Gida, and he was raised by the mom and this aunt. So, and the week that the director was reading the book, it was the week that his aunt died. So it was, that was very touching for him. And I think that what happened is that he tried to do a movie that was not just about my book, but about his experience of the strong women in his life. And I feel very honored by the work. I know that's very different. And I'm not jealous and I'm not frustrated because it's a very beautiful movie. Personally, I will do something completely different because I have a way of writing that's very light. I use humor, and the director has something very tragic. That's very but at the same time, I don't think I would be able to do something like this and I don't think he's able to use my humor to do the movie. So if you were going to work together, I think that we are going to our styles wouldn't work well together, and I think that the movie was beautiful because he had the freedom to do whatever he wants. So I decided not. There are a couple of writers that they work in the movies, but I decided just to leave the movie for them to do it.
Thank you, Marta. Thank you, Dr. Safa. Shukran.
Thank you. We have the last question from Monica. Because you are today our guest, and we give you a chance twice.
Thank you. How kind of you, Asma. No, but listening, I have to get back to one little thing about the women of the UAE, Martha. The ambassador here in Berlin of the UAE is a lady. And before that, she was in Brazil. And before that, she built up the embassy in Montenegro that didn't exist. So she's really a fantastic example of these strong women coming from the UAE. And she does an amazing job here in Berlin. People are amazed that this is the ambassador from the UAE. But that was not my question. It's just a little remark aside. From what I could see and the abstract I read, the bottom line of your book and of the protagonists is very optimistic and positive. Where do you take all this optimism from? And can you send a few good waves to us, optimistic ones?
Oh yeah, I just can't do it. That's my way. I can't do despite of the problems of the woman, I like to use women and I like to be optimistic. And I think it's important for us to deal with difficult issues of our society. I would never ever be able to do a movie that, or to do a book that would be that would be sad, that would be bad. I think it's easier for us, and I think that's a characteristic of Brazil. We have a lot of good humorists in Brazil, so we have this thing that you deal with our problems in a very humorous way, and I like these two. And I think you need to be optimistic, and I think that women has a long way to go to be equal as men, and woman has to change, society has to change, the capitalist system has to change. So it's a long way, and it's always going to be difficult for us because we are the one who have the kids, and it's always going to be difficult for us. But I think you're getting there, and I think it's a very irregular path in the whole world. Some women, they are just fighting for a better salary. Some women, they are just fighting for the way of having all the information they need, of not getting pregnant at 14 years old, 12 years old. That's happened in Brazil. So it's a very difficult path that we all have to go through. But I think we are doing a good job. There is a feminist called Gloria Steinem, And I was just reading an interview with her, and she said that she knows that the feminism in the world is doing a good job because there's a lot of backlash. There's a lot of backlash in Brazil. There's a lot of backlash here in the United States. And when you see this backlash, it's because because the woman issues, they are bothering people sometimes. So I think you just have to keep fighting. It's a long path to all of us.
With humor, it makes it easier. I totally agree with you. Thanks a lot.
May I? We have دكتورة فاطمة. عندك مداخلة دكتورة فاطمة؟ مرحبا فيك دكتورة فاطمة. We have a writer with us.
You are writer, Fatma.
دكتورة فاطمة المزروعي. I think she's what I want to say some quote from your book in Arabic. أنك نجمة سديمة، أنك أم المليكة، أنك عبارة عن كل ما هو جميل ورائع، أن أفضل طريقة لقول الحقيقة هي قول الحقيقة. صار دفتر يومياتها وبيانا تكتبه كي تتحمل سنوات منفاها المنزلي وكي تخفف من ظلم جدران ذلك المكان. كانت إروديس قد صارت تتقن أقدم أساليب الحرب النسائية، فن التكرار، وذلك يؤدي بالرجل بقول نعم. إن الحياة تشبه اللعبة أحياناً، نعتقد أننا نقوم بالأشياء بالطريقة الصحيحة، ولكن عندما نفطن نكتشف أن عيوننا مغمضة وأننا لن نصيب بأي شكل من الأشكال. أنها تحتاج إلى مشاريع جديدة ولم يكن من الصعب الحصول عليها، فقد كانت تعيش في زمن تقل فيه المحلات وفي الشارع تكثر فيه النساء. في دخلت تلك القهقهة في أحد أذني إردريس ولكن لم تخرج أبداً من الآخر. كانت في حداد، كانت صعبة تلك الأشهر التي تلت، دفن الدفتر خلف مجلدات الموسوعات. استخدم إردريس فناً آخر من فنون الحرب، أسلوب الإخفاء، ذلك الذي يمنع الرجل من قول لا. في ذلك الوقت لم يكن الرجال يعانقون ولا يبكون. لقد كانت كل سيجارة عبارة عن صرخة حرية تستهلك نفسها من دون أن تترك آثاراً. إن مشاعر عدم الأمان التي أتى بها الصبا اختلطت بمرارة لا شبيه لها، نبتت في صدرها كالأعشاب في الحديقة. بالنسبة لمونتري غودي كما في قصص الأطفال فإن الأمنيات تحقق بالغبار السحري. يعني everything in your book, if we read it and we take a quote. Thank you, Marta, very much. Thank you, Safa. Thank you, Rana. Today it's our day. Today it's a different day with the beautiful novels. We read it. It's really, like I am in Brazil, the street, the feeling, the music, the spicy, the cook, the food, the Flumina, how the people thinking about her. She's beautiful inside, but the people, sometimes it's around you. Even you are beautiful inside, you do something wrong, but everybody, they will judge you about what you are doing. And she's take care about the children. It's the most important, our treasure, our children. And also about the pharmacy, how they treat her, and the sickness, they use the woman for as Rodis when she take a medicine for her son. And all many things, many part is sadness about women and how feeling. And what is nice, each character, they have own, each character is very important. That's one what I like in your, how you write the way. It's each character they have own. You don't feel, and you complete each character alone. Gida, her sister, her mother, her father, her husband, everybody, like you are studying psychologists, you go to even the psycho for the inside the people. From the men also, what they think, even the men, they have problem about her husband, he has a problem from his mother, and how she's suicide. That's why always she want a perfect house in his house. That's why also he has a problem before, in his child when he's 6 years old. And also about her sister, she liked the beauty, she follow her dream, but her dream is not coming because she liked to be beauty, jewelry, clothes. That's why the influence from the magazine, what she read it about the women. And now I can compare between the 50 and now, the social media, they do for the woman similarity now. It's everybody follow what is in the magazine, what is in the social media, everything you touch, you in the story, she liked to sewing. It's your story. It's like sewing. It's part of the part. You attach everything like a patchwork, beautiful patchwork. Even when she writes the typewriting, tick, 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 it's like continuous. And everything you write it, we feel it. As a woman, you are in Brazil, we are in United Arab Emirates and different nationality, but all of us, we reach what you write. I think you have a beautiful thinking and beautiful how you put your things in the line, and beautiful to everybody to receive it and to understand it. Thank you very much to accept our invitation. Thank you for Rana. Always she make an Arab library, it's riches with the beautiful thinkings and writers, woman or man, or always we like to read, either men or women. We don't have this gender in our book club. And also thank you for Safa, for her translator. Always we said that translator is the most important because she is the bridge to understand. And many book we read it in our book club. We don't like the translators, but we said we take the meaning. But it's very important to encourage, like Rana, her method in the life to find the good translators. Thank you for everybody. Thank you for inshallah you enjoy our discussion between the Arabic and English. I think we make a beautiful harmony between to how they cross the bridge together. Thank you very much for everybody. Safa and Marta, Rana, the last for you.
Marta?
Safa, you can go.
Okay, I only wanted to thank you, Saida Asma. Thank you, Rana, so much. Thank you, Marta. And I want to say that this humor that Marta has in her style is something very beautiful, but it makes it hard to the translator, you know. It's so difficult to translate that. It's easier, it's very easier in everywhere, every time to make someone cry and weep, but it is so hard to make someone smile or laugh. So it was so hard to me, Marta, but I love it. Thank you so much. Thank you, Rana. Thank you, Saida Asma. Thank you, everybody, for reading, for inviting us and being with, receiving us. Thank you so much. Shukran jazilan.
عفو يا مرحبا. تفضلي Marta, please.
Yeah, I also want to say thank you. It's an honor for me. That's actually the second. It's the first book club that I do. I did one in France, and this is the second one that I do. I did other in the United States, and it's an honor for me to be here. Rana, thank you very much for choosing this book to publish. Safa. By all this discussion, I mean, I'm sure I'm not able to read in Arabic, but you sure did a beautiful work. And Asma, thank you very much as well. And it was very impressive. All the questions were very smart. It was very good to see all these faces here. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. Let me add one piece of good news. Marta, of course, has written another wonderful novel after this one, and it's called A Castle in Ipanema. A Castle in Ipanema, and it's really, really beautiful. The characters are, how would I say, delicious, you know, if we can use this. And very warm, also very colorful city, and it's about voices in the head. It's about a castle that you built and that fell apart without you enjoying it, you know, although you worked all your life in it, but also, as usual, extremely humorous, very deep, very easy to read, yes, and so soon you will be sharing with us this beauty, really. So this, okay. I want to finish this on this note.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you very much. إن شاء الله مشكورين لكل الحضور، مشكورين مشاركتكم في حوارنا اليوم حول رواية الحياة الخفية، وإن شاء الله لنا لقاء الأسبوع القادم مع الأستاذ ناصر الظاهري حول الفيلم اللي فاز بجائزة مدريد للفيلم الأفلام إن شاء الله الثلاثاء القادم عن التسامح. ومرحبا فيكم، أهلا وسهلا، شرفتونا واسمحوا لنا على أي قصور.